Hello, Superman Celebration fans. Welcome to the Adventures of Superboy panel. For some of you, I'm Sam Rizzo from Superboy Legacy. What's up? Thank you. I'm so excited and honored to introduce our two very special guests today. First up, she was Clark Kent and Superboy's first love as Lana Lang through the entire run of the Superboy series. She's gone on to numerous other projects like Sequest, Kindred the Embrace, The X-Files, All My Children, Young and the Restless, and Days of Our Lives. She made her first appearance here at the Superman Celebration in 2015. Would you please welcome back the lovely and the talented Stacy Haiduk. Okay, sorry. Okay, next up, he was bit by the acting bug at the age of 14. 2 years later, he was cast in one of the teen classics of the 1980s as Wyatt Donnelly in the film Weird Science. Then in 1989, he'd go on to play Clark Kent's good friend and college roommate, Andy McAlister. Andy was quite the comic relief and a welcome addition to the cast chemistry during that second season. His character having two main motivations. One, get rich by any means possible, and two, always amusingly trying to get the girl in the end. Would you please help me welcome for the first time here at the Superman Celebration, Ilan Mitchell-Smith. So, welcome guys, how you doing?
Good.
Did you like the intros?
Thank you, Sam.
So how are you guys enjoying the Superman weekend so far, the Superman Celebration?
It's excellent. How are you guys enjoying it? I got a loud voice.
It's on.
Yeah, I'm enjoying myself a lot. I think this is great. It's a great group of people. I'm really happy to be here.
Okay. Short and to the point. Okay. So, were you guys both Superman fans prior to Superboy? Growing up, were you a Superman fan?
I answered this 6 years ago.
Yes, you did. You did. But for the people that weren't here 6 years ago.
Well, you weren't here 6 years ago. Yes, I was a Superman fan. It was big back with Christopher Reeves and when Ilya Salkind did that. We were all excited.
Yes.
That what was the saying? That
You'll believe a man can fly.
You'll believe a man can fly, and so yeah, I remember standing in line to see Superman, and so I was a fan.
Ilan?
This is going to get nerdy, so I'll just apologize for just out of here.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, of course I was a Superman. What's that? All right, good. Yeah, of course I was a Superman fan. I was a big comic books guy, and so that was part of it. If I'm being honest, like on the DC side, I think I prefer the left of center characters a little bit more. So maybe it's good that I was the comic relief in the show, because I was always attracted to someone like next to Superman. I like Green Lantern a lot, and I like the Flash. But I still like Superman, and in fact, I'm a teacher now, and just last semester I taught Superman in my comic books class.
Oh wow, that's cool.
It was, if anybody interested, it was Son of Superman was the trade paperback that I taught.
That's so cool. So let's go back to 1989 to that second season and the start of it, and 3/4 of the cast was replaced. Well, according to Ilya, he wanted to bring in more experience. With Gerard, Ilan with Weird Science, Sherman Howard as the new Lex Luthor. Stacy, how did you feel first walking onto the set with a new Superboy, a new college roommate, and Andy McAlister, who had a huge crush on you, and and the wonderful Sherman Howard as Lex Luthor? Like, what was it like being surrounded by a brand new cast?
Well, I actually applauded it. I mean, it was really quite wonderful for me, especially getting to work with Sherman Howard and Ilan. But I have a story because we actually had an acting teacher in New York, and I was one of the youngest students in the class, and he was already, I think he already did a few movies already at that time, and my acting teacher said, you know, you should really work with Ilan because he's your age, and it would be really good to see you with somebody that's not like older in the class, and well, that didn't happen, but I did get to work with him, I think about 6 months later, on Superboy. So no, I was absolutely thrilled, and I knew Ilan's work, so I was always excited to get a chance to work with him. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I really loved the change. I mean, I really, really did. I mean, I liked it when I first started, but
Yeah.
change is normal.
And I mean, you had all these different comic book writers coming on, like Mike Carlin, Andy Helfer, Mark Jones, who was the showrunner in that second season.
God, there's so many.
Carrie Bates.
Carrie Bates, who I would
Bates.
go out for dinner and we'd talk about story all the time. I mean, it was great. And but that was what was amazing about it, because you had those guys who would come into Florida from New York, and they would just love to hear what you, I mean, did you have that too? They would love to hear what you had to say about the character and what you wanted to do, and they would write it for you. So it was always really exciting to...
Yeah, and it was, you had the guys that understood the heart of Superman writing for you. And writing for the character, and writing for these classic characters like Lana Lang, Ma and Pa Kent, Salome Jens, and Stuart Whitman were amazing in their roles.
Right.
They just fit like a glove. I mean, they were so good. For me, like, Gerard was my Superman growing up, and I remember seeing the first Bizarro episode, and I have to ask you, Ilan, the first time I met you 6 years ago, what was it like putting on Christopher Reeve's Superman suit? And in those 2 episodes, because the whole premise of the episode is the creation of Bizarro, and they go to a Halloween party, and you're dressed as Superboy, but you're in... It was Ilya Salkind who owned that costume, who gave it to you, that ended up at the Planet Hollywood exhibit. So you are the last actor to wear a quote-unquote Christopher Reeve Superman costume. So, yeah. So what was that like? I mean, it's a real honor.
But not playing Superman. or
Right,
Superman,
you're
right?
playing Andy, yeah.
Playing someone cosplaying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, as I think maybe is obvious, like, the idea of that is sometimes better than the practice of it, because I just wanted to make sure, like, I'm kind of a spaz, and so I spill stuff on myself all the time, but I really didn't want to there. I'm also a little bit of a sweater, and so, like, I remember that day being a lot of, like, blow dryers on me before, so that you couldn't see that I was sweating in the suit, and that wasn't that fun. And then there was also like, oh, it might have been cool if I could have been Superboy, so I'm like, I don't look horrible with this, you know. But it was great. It was a great honor to wear it.
I have another question for you. Did you ever get to fly up on the wires during the series? I don't think you did.
No.
Yeah.
I got blown back.
Right.
There was like a
in the
thing-
Dracula episode.
Yeah, there was a stunt thing where I was like on the wires, but I never flew.
And Clark pushes you out of the way. That was it.
Yeah,
From the bulldozer. Yeah, that was it.
Wow, you remember
See,
a lot better than I do.
I live and breathe this series. I love it. So, so, Stacy, you were on all 100 episodes. How do you feel Lana changed over the course of the series? From a student to working at the Bureau of Extranormal Matters, you were basically Scully before Scully. The X-Files. You were the redhead investigating with Clark, so it was basically Mulder and Scully before the X-Files. A full year before, 2 years before the X-Files. Yeah. So, and then you ended up on the X-Files, which is hilarious. So, how do you feel your character evolved and changed over those 4 seasons? Well, I want to hear from you.
No, I mean, no, it was amazing because, you know, you gotta remember I was 19 years old and I grew up on that show, and I really wanted Lana not to be quote unquote.
Right.
You know.
Help me, Superboy.
Help me, help me.
Every
And I
single
always
episode.
remember the first season was always like that. It was
Yeah.
like Superboy, and I got to a point where I couldn't even say Superboy anymore because how many times did I say that I just wish you do?
Like, you could play a drinking game. How many times Gerard or Ilan or say Lana, you wouldn't make it 5 minutes.
No.
In an episode.
No.
Because the dialogue was so, Lana this, Lana.
Lana, Superboy,
Yeah.
Superboy. No, but I honestly, I mean, it was really, it was me growing up on it. So from beginning at 19, and I think I ended at what, 22? I was.
23,
So
yeah.
I saw her change because I was changing from a teenager into a woman, and I wanted Lana to be the same. And also, I think she's strong as I am, and I mean, I don't know.
I mean, like, talking on my podcast, like, Lana was written as the brains behind Superboy.
Wow, I like that.
So-
Look at you.
But you know what? Alana, like Andy was the motivation with Superboy. He helped him when he was depowered in the Nightmare Island episode. If it wasn't for you,
Remember that one?
like, remember that was a crazy episode. But like if it wasn't for Andy and Lana, you guys saved Superboy numerous times on the series, knowingly or unknowingly. So, like. It's just your characters and the chemistry the three of you had was something very special. And between the writers and the different directors that they brought in,
Yeah.
it was, I mean, so much so, the Silver Age comic books I compared to Superboy. It's the Silver Age comics from the 60s come to life. When Superboy gets exposed to kryptonite, if anybody hasn't seen the series, he turns green, just like in the comics. I love that little effect. They add that little authenticity. And some of the villains, like Bizarro, that was the first time we ever saw Bizarro
Right.
in live action. Michael Kellen, who played Metallo, was fantastic.
Right. Okay, so we were just asking, what did Gilbert Godfrey?
He played Knick-Knack. He was Toy Man.
That was it. That was what we were trying to figure it out in the car.
So, my question: who was your favorite guest star? Superboy is known for its guest stars. They had so many great guest stars. Like, if you had to pick, who was your favorite to work with, and why?
You know, it's been a long time, so and I've been a little bit out of it. But I really liked. Oh, there's a couple of people that I liked. The guy who played Mitzelblick, I thought was great.
Michael J. Pollard, yes.
Yeah,
He was
I
my.
liked him.
He just passed about two or 3 years ago. Yeah, Michael was a great guy. I met him about 10 years ago in Anaheim, and he still remembered that he was on the show. It was so funny. He's like, because I had an 8x10 of him,
Yes.
and his agent was like, Sam, how old were you when you saw this show?
You must have been a baby.
I was like 5 or 6.
Okay,
Yeah.
And then what's the name of the guy who in James Bond was Jaws?
Richard Kiel.
Richard Kiel.
Richard
Yeah,
Kiel.
he was the sweetest, maybe the sweetest guy I've ever worked with.
So in Mr. and Mrs. Superboy, they were in that
Oh, yeah.
episode. Yeah. And he gets turned into a roach. A cockroach. Yeah.
Did
a
he
bug.
step on you?
A bug. He tried to. That was a great episode. So let me ask you, what is your favorite episodes from that second season alone? You could just say just like one story beat, and I'll tell you.
It's been a long time, and I'm just gonna have to apologize that I don't remember the names of each one. But what's the one where we were on the jungle island and there was a snake in a condor?
Yeah, that was Nightmare Island.
Yeah.
That was Nightmare Island. When
Yeah,
you're
that was
helping
a lot.
Superboy lift the snake that was around him, that was
a lot of fun film. I don't have a favorite one to watch because I've never been all that comfortable watching myself.
right. It's okay.
And so I haven't revisited them that much, but that was my favorite one to film.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Stacy, how about you?
Well, I loved the Dracula one, but I don't know if that was the second season.
It was the second season with Byron Shelley.
Byron Shelley. Yeah.
Byron, those were 2 really good episodes. Those were Elia episodes.
And what's the one where was wearing women's clothing and I presented it
That was
feminine.
Mr. and Mrs. Superboy, because he shows up and you guys are at the pool, and Andy's like, "Who the hell is this guy? What are you dressed like this?"
And that's Mrs.
And he
Superboy.
turns him into drag. And I love when you come into the dorm and you're like, "It took me 3 hours to get my hair just right."
Yeah,
So-
that was fun to film too. And I remember Jerry looked at me once and I was like, I think Gerard thinks I'm hot right now. I'll take that as a win.
Well, you know what, guys? Let's open it up to the crowd, because I know everybody wants to ask questions. We're reminiscing about the series. We have Supergirl here, who will walk around if you have a question for Stacy and Ilan. So, or me, yeah?
No more.
I'm gonna get some more.
Oh my God, no questions. I know you got one.
My question is, what was it like working with Jack Larson and Noel Neal in the episode that they had guest starred in?
Paranoia. Yeah.
I mean, I just remember a little bit, but I remember thinking how wonderful it was to be able to work with them.
Yeah.
They're both amazing actors and beautiful human beings, so it was wonderful. I mean, it was
Yeah, sure.
Well, I remember Noel Neal when she was here. One of the last years she was living in town, and Gerard was here. I think this was 2012, and she came out specifically just to see him. And I'll never forget the story that he told me of being on set and her coming up to him and giving him a big hug and saying, "You're my favorite Superman." So when he came back in 2012, he so wanted to see Noel Neal, and he managed to see her and give her a big hug, and she still had that beautiful smile on her face going, "You're my favorite Superman." So it really made Gerard's year being told by the original Lois Lane that you're the favorite over George.
over George.
Over George. So any more questions? Come on.
This is for Stacy, and it's really not related to Superboy, but it's not related to other shows. I just wondered, how long have you resided in Los Angeles?
Oh, like 27 years, I think it is. Yeah. You're a Dodger fan?
Only since 1955.
Okay.
Any other questions?
We got a couple in the back, yeah.
This is for Stacy. It's not a Superman question. Do you please do your Susan Banks impression for us, please?
What's your name? Kathy? Kathy! It's Susan Banks here, and you're just so mean, asking me to do this right now, because it's just so basic. Oh my God!
That was great. Any questions?
I remember being a kid, and it just drove me crazy that it ended on the way that it did, with like, want to figure this out. And what happened in the years after? Did you have a headcanon you put together? What happened after the series ended?
Oh my God, what?
Oh.
Because when Lana, I
Do
was
you want
upset
the-
with that too.
Do you want the short version or the long version? So the Reader's Digest version was Superboy was a production of Viacom, which was a subsidiary of Paramount, and Warner Brothers and DC were just licensing Superboy out. So DC was approving the scripts, the 100 scripts that did make it through into production. But once Warner Brothers saw the ratings of Superboy, it was in the top 10 syndication each and every year. It kept getting better and better and better. And Warner Brothers was like, what can we do to make our own series so we have our slice of the pie? they weren't getting anything from Superboy. It was Ilya, his production team, Carthage, and Paramount, and Viacom. So it was kind of like the Batman 66. You had all these different pieces owning part of the character, which Warner Brothers was licensing out. So at the end of the day, they just stopped approving scripts and basically started their own production with Lois and Clark, and the rest is pretty much history. So, and it's funny because Gerard, if he was here, would say to you, you know what, I read for Lois and Clark, I got in the room, they loved me, and the last minute, when they looked at my resume, they're like, you've done this before. And they escorted him out of the room. He went from like the best thing since sliced bread to, hey, you've done this before. And if you've seen him today, he's in great shape. He really takes care of himself, and he could play the role again if he wanted to. So, yeah, it's true. So, yeah, they just stopped approving scripts, and they basically killed the show. That's, yeah. What was that? Let's get a petition. Yeah, I mean, with the whole multiverse thing going on right now, with the new series Superman and Lois, every incarnation of Superman in the last 80 years they're taking into account. Just the way Tyler Hoechlin, the new Superman, stands is very much like Gerard Christopher. His Clark Kent is very much like Gerard's. So, yeah, would you guys be open? I don't know, to coming and doing a cameo if they did a deep dive with Lana and Andy in some way?
No, we would be there.
Okay.
I would have to go and take Ilan out of, school, being professor and teacher here, so.
I haven't been an actor for a long time, so I'd have to see if it would work out.
Would you guys be open to doing any voiceover work if they did a Superman animated series and they wanted you in some sort of role?
Well, I already do voiceover, so yes, but I do it for Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been an actor in a long time, and I'm pretty busy with the job that I have, so I think it would be tricky.
Yeah. What if it was just a 5-minute thing?
Sure, yes.
Fortunate, Sam.
Yeah, come on, I'd love to be involved if I could.
You have such a great voice. You do.
It does, doesn't
You
it?
do.
Great is not always the word that is used, but I appreciate that.
Just wanted to follow up then, if there was a season 5, what would have happened? And that maybe you're just speculating, but I'd be curious to hear from the actors what they think would have happened.
Andy McAlister would have gotten superpowers, obviously.
That'd be cool.
And Superboy would fade into the background because Andy McAlister would obviously become the star.
I like that. And then Lana would go after you and say, screw you.
Yeah, she would be like, oh, I do like quirky people with a sense of humor. Quirky short guy. Yes, season 5.
I know. Well, I honestly think that Lana actually, because she pokes the pin at him, because I didn't see that, but I do remember shooting it.
And it ends on that
And
frame.
we don't know if she got it, but I think she would have found out.
Do you think she knew? I think she knew.
The whole time. The whole 4 seasons. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I know. But like, I remember the one episode, Who is Superboy, when she's looking with the AI computer at all the different people in the crowd, and it focuses on Clark. And before he leaves, he hears the alarm going off in the bureau, as you both are sitting there.
Right.
And like, he's like, I really gotta go. And you get up and you say, I wouldn't dream of stopping you. And you give him a big kiss. I think in that moment she knew.
She does know. I think
she did know.
And it would have been a warm fuzzy after that, and, but then he would have to erase her memory because,
And then it would have turned into the X-Files. Yeah. Any more questions from the crowd?
Any questions?
I think they're all hot.
Everybody's hot.
No. I mean, I have one I always ask.
Yeah.
I know it's been a while, but everyone loves bloopers. On the set of Superboy, were there any kind of pranksters or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm sure there were times.
Gerard, the ones that Gerard would camera and like slipped right into the Conklin commercial. And I don't remember what he said, but it was something about like something like that. Right? And so there's footage of that kicking out somewhere.
I just remember us being in the back lot, and we after shooting, and were you with it? It was some of the crew, and I know Gerard was driving, and I think he had a few too many that night after work. Because we used to. What was really fun about those days, I should say, is that after on Fridays when we got done, we would have a cooler of beer, and so everybody just chill outside. We don't do that anymore on shows, but we'd have a cooler outside, and everybody get some beers and hang out. But there were golf carts, and we all loved the golf carts, and we'd take like water hoses, like water guns, and go out and shoot each other on the back lot of the Universal. But what happened is that since Gerard was driving, he ended up crashing the golf cart into one of the fire hydrants, which was fake, but we ran it over, and we quickly, I'm sure they had cameras everywhere at the point, but we thought we would sneak back to the trailers and pretend that it didn't happen, so.
I have a funny side note about that. You know, he had those license plates from that golf cart that he crashed. You know who has them? I do. He took them off because it said as Superboy, and it had on the back of the other one. He took a whole bunch of stuff with him when he left, but like he had the license plate. So I have the license plate framed.
That he crashed.
In the
hydrant. I wish we had video phones back then. We could have like blackmailed him.
So that's why I always wondered why he had these license plates. Now I know. So, let's see. So Stacy,
yeah.
Gerard wrote a couple episodes. He wrote Wish for Armageddon. Sherman Howard wrote a couple episodes.
Why didn't I write a couple episodes?
Would you have been open to writing one if they approached you and said, Stacy, we want your input? Would you?
I think there's a reason why they didn't ask my input. I would have been. I don't know. I probably would not have been very good at it, but I love coming up with the stories, and I loved that episode of Armageddon, and I thought it was great, and I got to play the dark side of Lana, and it was...
The Road's Not Taken. Yeah,
yes, that was that one. Okay, so screw that.
But Wish for Armageddon was his episode that he wrote, and...
Which one was that then?
It was the one where he signs the deal with the devil. Or it's like,
wow.
Yeah,
See,
and the devil's controlling him in his dreams.
I kind of remember it.
That was like the later, I want to say like 4th season, like when he was a producer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. But to see his script, because like his script is literally like the size of a phone book. Like you could kill somebody with this thing. It's so big.
It used to be like that.
Well, he had 7 different scripts. Being the writer. So,
well, good for him.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Any more questions from the audience? Chris? Here we go. Stump the Superman expert, Chris.
This is for Stacy. In the 2-part episode, Bride of Bizarro, was that you in the Bizarro makeup, or was that somebody else?
No, that was a wonderful stunt actress. God, she's on Facebook, and I wish I remembered her name, but she did all my stunts. And so what was great is they gave her this part because the Bizarro character had to do a lot of stunts, and they needed to have me be on the other side of it. So what is her name?
I don't remember.
Kelly, there we
I don't remember. I am sorry. I will look this up. I'll ask Barry. Is it Kelly?
Kelly.
Oh, so I probably am friends with her.
She's got red hair, and she's just lovely, and she was my stunt person for, I think, three seasons, so.
Okay. What was it like working with Barry? Because he so wanted to be here. Barry Myers, who plays Bizarro. It's been fantastic Bizarro. The first live-action Bizarro. And he was just amazing. And seeing those first 2 episodes with him in the role was just like, as a kid, it was like, oh my god, this is like Superman come to life. Well, Bizarro come to life. And just the way he acted and moved. And they used a little bit of post-production on his voice, but Barry really loved playing that character. But What was it like working with him and being up on the
I
wires?
loved working with him. I thought he was great. And then Rob Berman, who did all the makeup. And I just remember we'd sit there and watch them put on each sponge piece. It was amazing because the face is really, it looks like hard and chiseled, but it's like that spongy makeup stuff that, you know, it was really cool what he did.
Yeah, he would fall asleep in the chair, he said, and he'd wake up and he'd be Bizarro. It's so funny. But the stuff that they did, him and Rob would develop the characters' like dialogue and get the voice down, and they really, between Robin and Barry, they really tried to make Bizarro true to those Silver Age comics, and I think they really did a wonderful, wonderful job. And like, even to this day, there really hasn't been a really heartfelt depiction of Bizarro. And I looked at that Bizarro as kind of like the Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
Like, and he just wanted to be human. I love those To Be Human episodes when he becomes human and gets to experience what it feels like.
I mean, you just fall in love with him. I mean, I did on the set. It was just lovely looking at him in that little Bizarro thing. I really enjoyed it.
I love when he has the scene with Gerard in the bureau, and he goes, "Brother," and he leans over, and Gerard, as Clark gets up and goes, "Bizarro?" And you come walking up, and you're like, "Who are you?" And Clark's like, Bill Zarro. It's so great.
God, that you remember all that is amazing.
But it's my Superman growing up. Everybody has their Superman and has their, like, you guys added to the tapestry of this character. In the 100 episodes that you guys did something special, and you guys will forever be remembered as Lana Lang and Andy McAlister. Like it or not,
so
you
nice.
will.
Thank you. That's nice.
But like the thing is, like the sad thing about the series was that it didn't get the chance to become something like Smallville or Lois and Clark or even the new Superman and Lois, where you can see it all the time everywhere. And there was a lot of stuff behind the scenes with Warner's, putting a lien on it. And just recently, the DVDs came out a couple of years ago. 2006, the first season came out with John Newton. You guys did a whole bunch of special features with New Wave. The second season, and third season, fourth season came out almost 6 years later because we kept pushing.
And thank you, Sam. I appreciate it.
We kept pushing, and like all they did was find like certain episodes. Like they found copies of copies and just threw it on a disc. But like I just want to say thank you to Warner Brothers Archives for doing that, because like we wouldn't have these episodes to enjoy, and to have future generations of Superman fans like yourself discover it for the first time or rediscover it. So yeah, Chris.
Talk to Amazon Prime because they have it on digital, but not every episode.
Oh, they only have a couple seasons on there?
Yeah, they have all 4 seasons, but every season's missing an episode. Like
wow.
They have Roads Not Taken, Part 2, not 1.
Didn't know that.
So if you want to see Roads Part 1.
So if you want to watch all of Superboy, the DC Universe used to be around, but that's gone under. We're talking with HBO Max to try to get the series on there, because they're going back into the back catalog. I think Lois and Clark's going to be on there in August. I think this week, Lois and Clark. So hopefully they go back and they bring Superboy to HBO Max. The only way you can watch it right now is through Apple iTunes. You can download all 100 episodes on Apple iTunes. And get your DVDs while you can, because they're going out of print. I looked at the first season on Amazon, and they're going for like $90 a pop now. So you might want to get your DVDs while you can, because they're going to stop printing them very soon. So
I'm gonna get mine soon.
Yeah, get yours. Sorry. Any more questions from the audience?
This is for Ilan. I'm a huge 80s child and I love all your movies. What was it like working with John Hughes?
That was a weird science. It was really great. It was a great set to work on, and he was a great guy. And I really I cherish that memory. I mean, it needs to be said also that what a lot of people know, not you, I think, because I was your favorite, but for a lot of people, and in real life, I was kind of the other guy on that set. And so John had a really tight relationship with Anthony Michael Hall, that I just didn't have because I didn't have that same history. And so I was a little bit on the outside of things maybe, but John did everything he could to include me, and it was just really a warm feeling and really funny. Sure thing.
Thank you.
There's a scene in that movie where the kitchen gets turned blue, and I remember John Hughes was talking to us about the scene, and he just didn't break his attention, but he ate a blue potato chip, and we all knew that was spray painted, and he just kept on going, like he did like anything for a joke for him. No, there weren't any cool effects. Yeah, sure.
Any more questions?
This is for Ilan. Are there any bloopers from Weird Science?
I mean, I think so. I feel like, yeah, I think so. I mean, it was a really funny set to work on, and like, I don't think I did the best job that I could have on that, and part of it was that Anthony Michael Hall would always try and make me laugh in front of the scene, and I'm still not sure why he was doing that, because I was trying not to, but like, there's a scene in the movie where a missile comes out of the floor, and it was one that we could, like, it was in the 80s, so the special effect was a missile coming out of the floor. We had one take for it. And somebody farted before it happened, and not just like a poop, it was like a loud fart. And so we somehow had to try to film that, like going back, but I don't know, like, I think that would be a fun video to see now, but I don't know if it was safe, you know what I mean?
Any more questions from the audience? Alana, I got one question for you. So, I know you don't remember a lot from the show, but you came back for one episode in season 3. How did that come about? Like, did they invite you back? Was that part of your deal, like, at the time?
No, it wasn't part of the deal. They invited me back, but I don't know how it came about either. I mean, usually you're not in touch with the people making those decisions. It goes to an agent or a manager, which it did for me. But I also don't remember a lot. I mean, so what happened was I finished filming that series, or my part on it, and I came back for an episode of that, and then I booked an episode of a show called Silk Stockings, which some
I
people
remember that.
In USA, yeah. In USA.
Yeah, it was when, and I wasn't in love with that, and that was the last thing I ever did acting, and so even when I went back to do the episode, even at the end of Superboy, which I loved, I was really thinking about stopping, and my heart was kind of going out of it. And so I don't remember exactly what I came back, like what the story was, why. Yeah. I just remember being able to see the people I loved again, which was a really nice treat.
Well, it was great to see Andy come back and see what became of the character, because normally they would just write you off the show or give a line of dialogue, but it was cool to see Andy come back and be part of Clark and Lana's life again for a brief moment. And it was cool because your character goes and works for Scary Movies. He's an intern in Hollywood.
Which would be perfect for him, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect.
Until he sells his script. Probably that's my headcanon on it.
But what was funny about that episode, and I always remember that episode, is because Rob Berman got his screenwriting SAG card from that episode because he fought Superboy as that giant mouse.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so that's how he got a SAG card.
I didn't realize that was him.
That was him. That was him in the makeup and the mouse suit. Yeah, fighting Superboy on lot 15, Studio 15, where you guys shot at Universal.
Yes.
Yeah, right there on the line.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, how about any more questions from the crowd? Nothing? Yeah.
Stacy. Oh, Stacy, do you remember when you were on NCIS in 2004, My Other Left Foot?
Yes, I do.
I love your character, Melissa.
I really liked her as well.
Oh, yeah. How was it playing with Mark Harmon?
Very nice, I'll tell you.
I'll never forget the line when you asked him what are your other talents. I could sample the frosting on a cake with my hand without leaving a fingerprint.
Yes, that was it. I wasn't flirting at all, was I?
But you were really good in that.
Thank you. I had. What was funny is I went back to being a brunette after Superboy series, and then I got that series, and the first thing they said is, "Will you dye your hair red again?"
Oh, yeah,
because
he
Mark
loves
loves redheads, and I said, "Okay, I'll do it."
Well, thank you for answering that. You were really good at it.
Well, thank you. I had a ball.
One of my favorite episodes of all time.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions? Oh, there we go.
I was going to ask, in the movie Wildlife, what was it like working with Randy Quaid?
It was great. Randy, it was great working with him professionally. He was a little bit standoffish, I think, and I asked somebody about it. I was like, I just went up to Randy Quaid and I was like, "Hey man, good morning," and he put a cigarette out in his tongue. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, and somebody was like, he's trying to preserve the relationship that you have on screen and to kind of make that more real, which I appreciated, but I don't think I got to know the guy unless that was him,
Any more questions?
Ilan, what was it like working with Bill Paxton on Weird Science? The late Bill Paxton.
Look, I mean, I just said this about Richard Keel, kind of, but
yeah.
Without a doubt, Bill Paxton was the nicest and most helpful and most mentoring guy that I've worked with. I'm real sad that he's passed. I didn't stay in touch with him, so it's not a personal blow as much as just a theoretical one, but he was just the sweetest guy ever, and he's somebody in the, sure if that's me or not. His kind of actor is not one that you often find, and I'm really glad that he got all the success. But he was a guy who would just do stuff, and I feel like that's what it means to be an actor and to love it. Is if you're not getting paid to do it, if the auditions aren't going well or whatever, you find a way to act and be in things and to create, and that was him. And so a lot of people haven't seen his he did this weird short video for a song called Fish Heads that I guess you can Google and find probably now. And I remember him showing it, he was really jazzed about it. It was like, I have no idea what this is. It's completely weird, but I love it. And that's who he was. If you leave him alone, he would either be working on an oil field to make money, or he would have some friends and a video camera and he'd be doing something. And he was so helpful and in my trailer saying like, you should try this, just lean into like being nerdy. And so I don't need to go on, but he's an easy guy to praise.
Yeah. Well, it's true what you say. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. Well, you gotta love what you do, and that's the truth. So, any more questions from the crowd before we wrap up? No? Well, being Superboy Legacy, I always ask this whenever I have a guest on the podcast. It's in the title. The legacy of the Superboy show, like, looking back on it, how do you guys feel about the series and from your time on the show? Ilan?
Well, yeah, I think mine will probably be shorter, as was my time on the show. I have really positive memories from being on the show and from being on set, especially with Stacy. There was, I don't know if you remember it this way, but Stacy, me, and then David and Leslie, who were the makeup and hair people, I looked forward to seeing them every day, and to us being in the chairs. That was like the best part of the day. As far as the show, it didn't air where I lived, at least that I could find. And so So I didn't have a lot of interaction with it or with people who were seeing it. And so it's really nice when I do, like in a moment like this, meet people who really watched it. And like, I would have loved that at the time when I went home for a weekend or for a kids, whatever, for someone's kids to be watching it, and then I could like nerd out with them. It just didn't happen that much, so it's nice to do it now.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot shorter. I look back on it so fondly because it was the first thing for me, the first series, and getting to meet Ilan, getting to meet all these actors, and getting to play. That's one of my, I call it playtime, getting to be an actress, and I loved it, and I was very blessed to get it at a young age. And it was a family, and I did too. I still hang out with Leslie, who was the makeup artist, and I got to meet you because he just disappeared after that. I mean, I never saw him again until like maybe 15 years later. And I just feel like when I connect with you again, I always feel like it's right back on the set and we're like goofing off. But no, I feel so blessed that I got to be a part of that show. Really, really nice.
Yeah. Well, I think Superboy was definitely a series ahead of its time, and like I said earlier, it just kept getting better and better and better with each passing year. And it was a shame that the show ended the way it did, but I love that people are discovering it and rediscovering it. I'm floored by the number of emails and phone calls and people in the business that started with Superboy, and people that from the Superboy team have contacted me. It's just amazing, and I love when you say, Stacy, it feels like a family, and it was definitely a family. I mean, you could see I love what Barry, who plays Bizarro, says about the show. We really put our blood, sweat, and tears into this, and we just wanted to share it with the rest of the world. And with all these digital forms of media now, with HBO Max and Apple iTunes, I love that people are able to rediscover
I do too, and they become part of the family, and you're part of the family, and when you bring it up and talk about it, and you know, and everybody else. I mean, it really is that something that it feels part of this longevity of the family.
And like I said, it just adds to the tapestry that is Superman, and that's why we're all here, because we love this character to death. And the show really enriched the character and brought him back to television. So, any more questions before we wrap up? No? Okay. Well, I want to thank Ilan and Stacy. Thank you guys for coming this weekend. It was so much fun.
Thank you for having us.
So, I want to thank everybody for their questions and coming to the panel today, and I really hope everybody has a great rest of the Superman Celebration 2021. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, stay safe.
Stay safe.